Ooh, boy, a big trade today for one of our biggest rivals, and we're going to break that down. I see Lester shaking his head right now. It's something, man, this was a surprising trade. So we're gonna break that down. We're going to talk about some of the Bears roster concerns as we get ready here for the first week of the season. I got Lester Wilfong with me from Windy City Gridiron, and we're going to talk about that next on the Chicago Sports Podcast.
Let's go. Yo. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast. And that's facts.
Well, welcome into the Chicago Sports Podcast. Great to have you guys along tonight. We're talking about the Bears. We're talking about a big trade, getting ready for week one. And we're so happy to have you guys along. You can like and subscribe on our YouTube page. Follow us along on our YouTube channel. Get all the notifications popping up whenever we have shows coming up, especially leading up to opening week, first week of the season, which is coming up really soon here. And tonight, joined by, we were just talking about this, that we haven't seen you in a while, but it's great to have you on. He is part of Windy City Gridiron. It's Lester Wilfong. What's going on, man? It's good to see you.
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Doing well, man. Doing well. And boy, we were going over, and I know I was going over earlier today, getting ready for the show tonight, and all of a sudden, all of our phones start exploding from any single site that we follow. Everything, man. I'm just like, Micah Parsons this, because at first I was like, man, this is a joke. There's no way this is real. And then I'm like, okay, I got realistic. I got all the real apps on my phone popping up with notifications as I'm driving my car. I'm like, yeah, something happened here. And then sure enough, Micah Parsons gets traded, man. And he gets traded to the Packers. They get the Cowboys get 2 first-round picks back, as well as Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark, who's been with the Packers for a long time. I was hoping it was going to be Gary that was going to go back in that trade. But unfortunately, that he still stays with the Packers. And Lester, I'm going to ask you, and we're going to break this down. We're going to dive more into the Bears roster concerns coming up here in tonight's show. But when I was looking at this Micah Parsons trade, because I think there's so much talk in our division in general about who's going to take that next step, besides the Lions, the Vikings, who won all those games last year. And I feel like a lot of us, at least I see it on my feeds, that, the Packers are just going to be right there. They're going to be that average team. Maybe they're going to take a step back. They got Jordan Love, who we don't know. Maybe he's going to throw more interceptions and touchdown passes. But then all of a sudden they get a game wrecker, a playmaker like this man coming near their team. I think right now this puts them right there in the talk as a top echelon team in the NFC, like top 5, top 6, top 7 when you bring in a player like that, because I think they have a good team in general, and this guy is going to take them over the edge. That's the first thing that I think about.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. It's definitely, I had him in the playoffs as it was. I figured the Lions, obviously class of the division. I thought the Packers were right there. I thought the Vikings may have a little bit of regression. I mean, the Vikings are really hinging on J.J. McCarthy, right? I mean, if he doesn't take a step and show them what they draft, I mean, he didn't play no snaps at all last year, right? And the way Viking fans are talking, Viking media, that he is going to be the second coming. They really, really expect him to be great out of the gate, which it doesn't always happen with quarterbacks. I mean, we've seen it. Other franchises have seen it. So Vikings may take a step back. I think the Bears were going to be right in that wild card mix. But yeah, with this move with the Packers, I think they're right up there. They're going to be pushing for the division lead with the Lions because, like you said, game wrecker. He's a guy that an offense has to scheme to stop, and that's a guy that he can get his. I mean, the Packers won't have to do much with him. Just get out there, get after the quarterback. Yeah, he's not the best against the run, but in this day and age, it's a passing league. He gets after the quarterback. This is definitely a spot that the Packers are going to have, and it sucks as Bears fans, but hey. That's why they got Ben Johnson, right? If Ben Johnson is who we all hope he is to be, we think he's that guy, this is fine. It's just a blip in the road of Ben Johnson's journey.
Jerry Azuma, he tweeted out earlier today, and I love this because one of the first things I saw as I was going through all the different coverage of this, it says, Bears still going to whoop the Packers' ass twice a season. Got us all fired up. I was like, you know what, man? You got us fired up looking at that tweet, man, because yes, we are. I love when he tweeted that, man.
Yeah, I mean, those old school Bears, man, they don't care, man. They want to see this rivalry back. And you know what? If the Bears are better with Ben Johnson and Caleb now, Packers are going to be better, obviously, with Micah Parsons. The rivalry's back, man. I mean, it should be fun. I mean, it's, we're all tired of it being one-sided. Yeah, the Bears had the last win, but, let's get this going and let's get this rivalry back where it should be. And, one of the top rivalries in the NFL. And I think this is definitely going to help with it.
Boy, it definitely puts some juice back into it, too.
Yes,
to your points, man. I mean, it really does. And what I think about with the Packers defense, too, Lester, is I was thinking about last year, and I thought they were a good defense last year, but I didn't think they got to the quarterback very well. And I think that's what was missing from them for possibly even advancing even more for how they played last year. And I like the way they played, and they got a lot of young guys on that team. But now with him plugged in there and with some of the players around him, I guess we're going to have to see who's going to be healthy on that team as well. Yeah. I saw that McKinney, Hobbs, who they signed in the offseason, he's hurt. But with Gary on the other side, with those two guys together on that team, with the defense they run, this is going to really make things interesting. And we're going to break this down in a little bit too, because we're going to talk about the left tackle position for the Bears. Not to give anything away, but that's the first thing I start thinking about. Not only that, but I think this is going to be a defense. This could be I don't know if it's going to be a top 5 defense, but it certainly can be a top 10 defense in the league.
I mean, you look at what Parsons did in Dallas. I mean, when Parsons was on the field, I mean, that was one of the better defenses in the game just because of him. I mean, he's that good right now. So, I mean, it's definitely going to help the Packers. Packers have some problems in the secondary. I think that's something that Packer fans will tell you. But, I mean, if you always hear what's more important, the pass rush or the secondary. I mean, they kind of play off each other. But when you have a pass rusher as good as this, that's going to help your secondary. So I think the Packers are, like I said, they should be right up there now with the Lions pushing for the NFC North title. And look, I still think the Bears are going to be better than last year. I think they should have a chance to push for a wild card, but this is going to be obviously good for those guys.
It's going to make the NFC North very tough.
Yes,
and
again, yeah.
With the think of the pass rushers we're going against as a Bears fan here. You got Jonathan Grenard, who we're going to see the first week of the season. Then you got a healthy Aiden Hutchinson for the second week of the season, and now Mike. Listen to those pass rushers, man. That's our division right now.
And the Bears have their problems at left tackle, so it's going to be it's up to Ben Johnson. I mean, he's got to scheme around this, right? Like he's going to know going in where his problem is. He knows it's left tackle, whether it's Braxton Jones, which is probably going to be him, or whoever it's going to be. He knows his issues there. He'll have to scheme around this and make sure he has that guy plenty of help.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that left tackle position as well coming up here. As a matter of fact, we're going to bring that up here soon. I want to ask you, too, if you think the Packers, for the trade value, that when you look at this trade value, you see the different reports coming out on what the compensation was. You got the 2 first-round picks, and then you got Kenny Clark going back. And I looked at that, and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, I'm not going to say that's it on 2 first-round picks. Anytime you're trading any type of first-round pick, especially a couple of first-round picks, you're taking a chance there. And I know what the Packers are doing here, and it's pretty much win now. Like, you got to win this year, you got to win next year, and you're going to get in some salary cap issues, but this is it. Like, your window is right now. But I looked at that trade compensation, and I'm like, that is not as much as I thought. Am I off base on that, Lester? Because I thought it was going to be at least possibly another second-round pick. I thought there was going to be a couple more picks going back for that trade.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of tells you that it was kind of at the point where Dallas had to move him. I mean, maybe Parsons made it very clear to Jerry Jones that he had no intention on sticking around. He was going to hold out as long as it took. So maybe the Cowboys just figured, look, we got a nice deal on the table. I was surprised it was as low as it was. No, look, Kenny Clark's a really good defensive tackle, but he's also 29. He probably only has a couple years of prime, left there. And maybe he can go a little longer than that. But yeah, when I saw the compensation, I'm like, that's it, so. That just kind of goes to show you. I mean, the Cowboys wanted to get this done, and there goes my dog over there. And they had to make the Packers.
It's how much he hates the Packers.
Everybody hates the Packers. Exactly.
When we start talking about the Packers, man, you got hatred going around everywhere, and you could tell in his bark right there that he was upset about that. So, yeah. Lester, with that being said, as we talk about Micah Parsons in the trade today, do you think I see a lot, and I follow a lot of different beat writers around the league, and there's some other teams out there saying, man, we missed out on this, and we could have done this. What do you think as far as the Bears go? I think it would have been I think this is something, we're going to find out if the Bears were one of the teams that made a phone call to see if that was a possibility. But do you think this is something they missed out on, getting that pass rusher, another edge rusher to this team?
I think every team called as soon as it was out there that he was available. And look, there's rumors been going on for a while now, right? I mean, the big rumors popped up yesterday. It came out earlier this morning that, they're willing to listen. So I'm sure the Bears called, which I'm sure all teams called just to kind of gauge the interest there. I mean, look, if the Bears would have made a deal for Parsons, I would have been fine with it. I mean, he's obviously that guy, but this is the move you make. If you feel like you said earlier, the Packers feel their window's open now, so they believe in Jordan Love, right? They believe in LaFleur. They believe in what they have going on up there right now. So this is a win now move. I'm not so sure the Bears are in that position where they can make a win now move. I think they're still maybe a year away where they're actually contending for championships. Again, we hope Caleb works out. We hope Ben Johnson works out. If it works out like we all want it to, that's when their window, I think, opens. I think they can push for a wild card this year. So I think if this deal would have came on the table next year, something similar, then I think the Bears kind of maybe would have made a more legitimate offer and would have been in the deal.
Well, I think we also got to, and I agree with you too, Lester, but I also think we got to remember the amount of money that we're paying on some of our players on defense, like a Montez Sweat and getting Dayo in here in the offseason. I mean, we're putting a lot of money into that. Grady Jarrett coming in the interior line. I think with the moves we've made here the last 2 years, the signings, I think that would also, I mean, you could always schedule a way to go ahead and make a move, but I mean, we're paying Montez Sweat a lot of money to go in there and be that wrecker that we're looking for. So I think it really is now up to these guys. And I think this leads us into our Chicago Bears roster concerns tonight's show. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate your all support tonight. We got Lester here with us tonight. Lester Wiltfong of Windy City Gridiron as our guest tonight. We really appreciate his time. So I think this really segues into the lack of pass rush. That could be a concern. And I don't overreact at all to preseason and what we've watched in preseason. There's certain things I guess you could take away, but I mean, I'm very interested in Dayo Odeyingbo. I'm very interested to see how he plays going in here, especially over the first couple of weeks. And I just don't know if we have a lack of pass rush right now. But I also think that Montez Sweat has to be on the other side, and he's got to be that guy as well. He's got to be that guy to get the 15 and 16 sacks with the money that we're paying him, and hopefully he can do that this year. Hopefully he can get back to that form, because if he does, then we're talking about this Micah Parsons trade. Like, okay, if we can get that Montez Sweat, I'm okay with that.
I'm not sure Sweat's that guy, to be honest with you. I like him. I think he's a really good football player. But, I think where he's at right now, the way he looks, I mean, he may be a 10 sack, 11 sack guy, pushing for 15, 16 sacks. I think that's a lot asking out of him. I think the Bears are going to get after the quarterback better than last year. I think they're going to do it more with scheme. I think they're going to count on Dennis Allen kind of freeing guys up with what he wants to do. He's not going to be like Flus, right? He won't have these four guys out there lined up in the same spot, rushing the quarterback in the same spot. He's going to run stunts. He's going to run twists. He's going to mug guys up to the gaps. He's going to make an offensive line commit, which hopefully then will give one-on-ones to guys like Dexter, to Sweat, make sure, and Dayo. I'm not really high on Dayo. I think he's going to be okay, but that's a lot of money to give a guy that really hasn't really done much as far as getting after the quarterback in his career. So this is going to be Dennis Allen's game plan. He's going to have to scheme these guys up and kind of, he'll blitz. He's not going to blitz a ton. He'll blitz more than Flus did, but it's going to be on him to kind of figure out the best way to get his guys after the quarterback.
Lester, having you here, I'm glad you're here with us tonight to talk about that too. Talking about a little bit more about Dennis Allen as you cover the Bears for Windy City Gridiron. What you've covered and what you've seen from Dennis Allen this year, the type of defense. You kind of talked about it a little bit here, but what are some other? Was there any other couple of takeaways as we're sitting here talking about a pass rush? Any other takeaways that you have seen or you have witnessed that you're just like, okay, man, we got our legitimate defensive coordinator in here, something that maybe I wasn't specifically looking for, something I wasn't planning on writing about that you can talk about when it comes to Dennis Allen?
I mean, you got to it's hard to take much out of preseason. I think he played more man in preseason than he's going to play in the regular season.
Yeah, I noticed that.
We saw in this last game, Nahshon Wright was just getting torched by the Chiefs. I don't think if that was a regular season game, I don't think he's going to keep Nahshon Wright out there one-on-one in that situation the way he did. I think it's kind of like more vanilla stuff, just kind of roll out a game plan and let the guys play. You look at his numbers historically, right? I mean, he was the D coordinator for the Saints for a number of years. he will play more man, but he's not exclusively a man guy. Like we've seen some guys throughout the NFL. He's not a huge blitz guy. It'll be more blitzing probably than Flus than what we saw. But I think with Allen is the key with him is, like I said, it's what he does up front. I mean, he plays games up front. He'll send his nickel. I think last year was nickel back. I think the first 3 weeks of the year, he had like 6 sacks or something like that. I mean, so he will send his guys. Kyler Gordon should have a big year this year. He'll move him all around that defense, looking for mismatches. You may see TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmunds, pick up a few sacks this year. He's going to send guys creatively. We may see some zone blitz stuff where a guy like Sweat drops off. He's just trying to get these guys freed up, trying to play some games from front. He is an aggressive defensive play caller to where he will keep an offensive line and a pass protection scheme on their toes at all times, which with Flus, it was kind of like, here's my guys. I'm going to play, some zone on the back end. It's up to my guys to get pressure. And they couldn't do it last year, especially when Billings went down, they lost some push up the middle. So I think we're going to see a lot more creativity out of Dennis Allen with the Chicago Bears.
So I should also ask you too, as we talk about Dennis Allen and our roster concerns, normally when you bring a new coaching staff in here, and we got a lot of the same players returning back on defense. I mentioned some of the new guys that are here, but we got a lot of players coming back. And sometimes it takes the coaching staff like a Ben Johnson and a Dennis Allen and the rest of the teams to figure out who fits their schemes, who they like better, who maybe they don't think works so much. As you look at the current state right now on defense, and you look at the pass rush, and you were kind of explaining, and you did a very good job of the different ways he can use the pass rush and mix and match. But do you think he's got? I know he's got some of the right players. Do you think there's some of the players in there that you're thinking, well, maybe he might not be able to fit this, or is this just we got to let this play out and see how this works?
Yeah, I think they're going to let it play out. I mean, ideally, you want Austin Booker to take a big step this year because the way the roster set up, he's your third guy off the bench, right? He's your backup guy, but he's on IR now, so we're not going to get to that for at least 4 weeks. So Dominique Robinson, that's your plan now as defensive end number 3. That's not a very good plan. They may bring Tanoa up from the practice squad, or they may re-sign him to the roster because he has experience in Dennis Allen's defense. I mean, why not go get a guy like Clowney? He's sitting out there as a free agent. Maybe Zadarius Smith is the guy you kind of talk to. I think that if they can find an edge at a reasonable price, I don't expect the trade. But I mean, there are a couple guys on the market that, if you really want to make a move, you can do it. But other than that, it's going to be pretty much up to Dennis Allen. I mean, you may see Javon Dexter kind of kick out to end once in a while. We saw him do that as a rookie. Hopefully, a rookie like Shemar Turner kind of come in and give you a little bit of push up front. Billings is back. I think that's not really the kind of body type that he usually has at his defensive tackles, but Billings is such a force inside against the run, so I think he'll have his time to make some plays. But then you talk about Grady Jarrett. I mean, Grady Jarrett is 2-time Pro Bowler. 2 years ago, he tore his ACL. Last year was his first year back from it, so now he's 2 years removed. A lot of times these guys 2 years removed, that's when they really kind of hit their stride again. But he's also 31 years old. So it's going to be tough to say. But I think right now Dennis Allen's going to just deal with what he has. If something presents itself, I'm sure Ryan Poles will listen. But I don't expect a big splash right now on the D-line.
I don't either. Does it surprise you too, as you mentioned Clowney and Smith? I'm a little surprised that Smith hasn't signed anywhere, but are you surprised that those guys haven't been picked up anywhere? Or do you think they're out there just waiting because they're older, they've been around the league for a while, they're waiting for the right situation?
Yeah, I think you hit it. They're both like, man, I ain't doing no training camp.
Right?
I'm in my 30s now. I don't need to deal with that kind of stuff. I know how to keep my body in shape. I think they're both kind of at that position. I think with Smith, I think there's been some talk where he's really lobbying to go back to Detroit. And why wouldn't you? He sees that as a chance to win a ring. Obviously, he thinks that's probably the best team in the division. So, I mean, if they don't come calling, and at some point, if you want to play, you got to sign with the best offer. So I'm not sure what the Bears, if they have something on the table, but like I said, Clowney and Smith, both guys, I think would step in and definitely help the Bears D line if that's the route they want to go.
I do too. And we'll see how that plays out, like we were talking here. And we'll see if those guys end up signing as we get ready here for week 1 of the NFL season. Thank you guys for watching tonight's Chicago Sports Podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe on our YouTube page, YouTube channel. We just went over 4,000 subscribers. So thank you all so much, man.
Nice.
We're so happy, man. We're so happy as building something special here. We got Lester with us tonight. Lester Wiltfong of Windy City Gridiron. It's great to see you, man. Great to talk about the Bears with you. We're talking about some of the Chicago Bears roster concerns. We were talking about the lack of the pass rush. And we were talking a little bit about the left tackle position. And that would be, I think that's what I have circled on my list. Left tackle. We've been talking about it a lot on this show as we've been talking about training camp. And I think what I'm going to ask you, Lester, is why the delay? I think I know. I think I know why, but why the delay to name Braxton Jones the starting left tackle? I think this is going. I thought by now we would have that position named, but what's with the delay? Do you think?
I think the plan was for Braxton Jones to win that job all along, and I think his injury took longer to come back from. Look, I think Ozzie Trapillo would have been an awesome story if he would have come in and won that job. But look, he's coming from right tackle to the left. He's got to learn a new position. He's a rookie, so obviously, he's going to be behind because Braxton Jones has seen pretty much, how NFL defenses operate. So I think the plan was for Braxton Jones to kind of come in and just, take that job and make sure everyone on the team knew it was his. But he took too long to come back from injury. The rehab took longer than I think the team thought. He struggled. He didn't look very good. We kind of saw, it was a three-person competition, four-person competition when I throw in Theo Benedet, Karana Magaji. But ultimately, Braxton Jones is the guy that has to win that job. And look, you still got a couple weeks now before week one, a week and a half, I should say. Maybe he can get a little better by then, but he may struggle for a first few weeks or until he really gets that leg back where it goes. And look, he never had the best anchor to begin with. And now he missed the whole offseason working on his lower body. So Ben Johnson's going to have to scheme around him until he gets right, or until another guy kind of steps up. I mean, maybe Theo Benedet does, take a big step this year. I don't expect it to happen, but that would be awesome as a UDFA. It sounds like Karan Amagazi kind of is going to work a little inside at guard. It seems like Ozzie Trapillo is more of going to be your right tackle now. So looking at the roster, it's Braxton or bust right now.
Theo Bennett, I'm glad you brought his name up. I love the story. The story is incredible. It's incredible where he played, how he got here, his journey so far. And I think it'd be a great story to see him make it. If he got some starts, awesome. But at the same time, in the back of my head, Lester, I'm thinking, or is that a good thing to happen? I don't know. If we put him in there in the competition at left tackle to preside that side, and I just named off the different edge rushers that we're going to be going against this year. I don't know if that's a good thing, because I don't know if that would be if he would get overexposed, or if that would be a little too much, or a more he can handle if he's one of the starting left tackles going in. I don't, if whether that's week 2, week 3, week 4, I don't know. I go with the good and the bad on that.
I mean, it's awesome that he's a UDFA, right? He kind of came where he came from. He had an injury last training camp, stuck around in the practice squad. So that'd be great if he is a viable NFL offensive lineman. But that's asking too much. I mean, I just can't see him being a guy you're going to put in that spot. So like I said, it's got to be Braxton. I mean, he's got to be able to kind of step up. He's got to be able to understand what's going on there. He has Joe Thuney next to him now, who is an outstanding, all-pro left guard. So he'll help some stuff on Braxton's inside gap. But, it's going to be chips. It's going to be tight ends, next to him. It's going to be running backs who are working it. They may roll away from his side once in a while, so it's going to have some schematic issues here to kind of get things figured out until Braxton, shows exactly who he is.
And I was going to ask you if you think that would help. You just brought up, Joe, to his name, the signings in the offseason, upgrading the offensive line. Do you think that will help out a guy like Braxton Jones to help, because as they solidify that part of the line? Do you think that could help him out?
Yeah, he's just such a good offensive lineman. Thuney is. I mean, you watch what he did with KC in New England. He's just he's a pro's pro, man. I mean, he's really good. So yeah, he'll be able to help him out. I mean, he'll understand. He'll know that, okay, I may have to give a little extra attention there. And then you got that Drew Dahlman at center, who's another big upgrade there. So yeah, the interior of this O-line has really been upgraded. So you may see some more quick game. They may realize, well, we can't do the 5-7 step drop stuff. I know they want to do more under center play action. Well, maybe Braxton can't hold up as much. So you have to see what they're going to have there. It's going to be up to the scheme to kind of help them out. They may have to keep the tight end a little longer in on that side before he leaks out. But again, this is where Ben Johnson comes into play. I mean, if he's the guy that we all want him to be, he'll be able to figure this out and get it done.
That's why we're paying him a lot of money, man, to come in here and run this team, man. So let's see what he does. You bring up Drew Dahlman's name. I was just thinking about that as you were talking about him. I feel like when we started talking about the start of the season and training camp and everything going on in training camp, because you see so much about Caleb Williams, and what the offense is going to do. But then you think about some of the under the radar guys that you don't really hear about. And I'm like, you know what? I really haven't heard about Drew Dahlman at all in training camp. And I'm saying that's a good thing. I'm saying that's a good thing because that means he is out there. He is doing his job. You don't really hear much about him. You don't hear much about him doing this or certain things that he's done wrong. He's in there to solidify that center position that we so really needed on this Bears team. And I'm just saying, I think when you start thinking of some of the under the radar positions, that's a good thing to hear about that. That means we have a center here that's potentially could have a big year.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely an upgrade. I mean, look, he's young enough. He's going into his fifth year. You know, he has possibility to be in the Pro Bowl this year because, you know, the Lions lost Ragnow. So now there's a spot open up. He was a perennial Pro Bowl guy. You know, Dahlman's always been kind of on the cusp of that as it was. And now he's in a pretty good offense here with Ben Johnson. And if the offense is better, you know, that's when your guys get some notoriety. So if a guy like Dahlman kind of steps in, really solidifies the pivot, you know, he has the good head on his shoulders. He understands how to help set those protections. You know, he's really good in the run game. So he hasn't been known as an outstanding pass blocker, you know, but it's not like he's bad. I mean, he's at that baseline, right? Where he gives you enough. And I think with the better coaching, with the better overall offense, you know, and then again, Joe Tooney next to him, Jonah Jackson, another guy that has a lot of experience in Ben Johnson's scheme. You know, I think the interior of this whole line is going to be really good this year for the Bears, and definitely gonna push things forward as far as Caleb goes and really help him out.
I agree with you on that too, Lester. We got Lester Wiltfong with us tonight of Windy City Gridiron. Great to have you with us, man. Thank you so much for spending some time here on the Chicago Sports Podcast. We're talking about some of the Chicago Bears roster concerns. We went over the pass rush. We went over the left tackle position. And another area I want to go over with you, Lester, is some of the injuries on defense. We mentioned it earlier. Austin Booker on injured reserve. I was bummed out about that. I really was. I was bummed out about him going on there. And you kind of heard that coming up this week, the different reports that I was reading of the possibility of that happening. And sure enough, so him going out for, I'm guessing, 4 to 5 weeks, possibility for 4 to 5 weeks for him. But for him, with him and the way all the hard work that guy puts in and the way he plays, I like everything about this guy. So to see him to start the season on IR is a bummer for me, man.
Yeah, that short-term IR, it's 4 minimum. So he's he's able to come off that short-term IR in 4 weeks. And look, when Ben Johnson talked about him a week ago, he said it was like a 3 to 4 week injury, right? We didn't know as fans, was that 3 to 4 weeks from when he got hurt, or is that from now? Apparently it's from now because he went on IR. Again, it sucks because he looked like he made some big strides, right?
Yes, he did.
His pass rush moves has been better. Last year, the little bit he played, it was more long arm stuff and it was more speed off the edge. This year, we kind of saw him working some counters. We've seen the spin move. He's always had the hustle because he's a really good athlete, but now he's kind of bringing a technique into it. He's got more in his toolbox. So it's going to hurt. Again, the biggest thing that hurts now is now Dominique Robinson or Daniel Hardy is your next man up. And I mean, look, I like Daniel Hardy. I think he's got some good speed off the edge, but you know, he's never been in that role before. Dominique Robinson going in the year 5, I mean, year 4, wherever he is now, he's never really shown much in the NFL. His first game, he had a sack and a half, and then he's kind of disappeared since then. So losing Booker hurts to the point where you're losing a young, up and coming player, but also there's just nothing behind them.
That's what worries me too. You just mentioned it because I was going to bring that up too with Robinson and Hardy and the roles that they're going to have to play right now. And I feel like if we just had a little bit more depth into those, a little bit more depth there, I'd feel better. Now, granted, it's 4 weeks minimum, as you said, so hopefully it's a 4-week minimum injury. It's not out much longer than that, and he can get back on track. But boy, it would have been nice to have him for the first couple of weeks of the season against the Vikings and the Lions, man. And right off the bat, right there, that's going to be the first couple of tough games. So I was looking at him, and I was also the Brisker yesterday, the Jaquan Brisker yesterday. And anytime I see him now, and the first thing that pops in my head, Lester, is I was watching some of that stuff on X yesterday. It wasn't as because he went to the locker room and stuff, and we still don't know. I was reading all day long today. I still haven't, and maybe you could shed some light. I still didn't see anything.
Nothing. Yeah, there's nothing.
Yeah, nothing yet.
Quiet, yeah.
And the first thing I thought about for this guy was, oh no, it wasn't anything Bears related. It wasn't anything depth related. The first thing I thought was like, please don't be another head injury or another concussion. concussion, man, because that was the last thing you want this guy for everything that he went through last year. I just felt so bad, and like my heart dropped when I saw all of that stuff. So, and he was here all training camp, man, and I think he's the heart and soul of that defense. One of the players that's the heart and soul. When that guy is in here, he makes an impact on that defense, and he plays, and he's so strong, and he's so smart. And I just think we're gonna have to wait to see if it plays out. But the Jaquan Brisker thing worries me a little bit.
Like, well, yeah, when it first happened, the beat were tweeting out that he was carted to the locker room, right? So right away, everyone thinks the worst. But from what I understand, that's just standard procedure. Anyone that gets anything dinged up, they're always put on a card and are always driven back to the locker room. It's just more convenient that way, depending on what field the Bears are practicing on. So don't read too much into that. And then, of course, we're not going to know anything until Johnson meets the media next. I mean, I'm not sure when their next practice is. So, like you said, he is the heart and soul of that defense. The way he plays. I mean, he's very energetic. He's very vocal. You know, he gets his fellow defenders real fired up out there, and you know he's one of those guys that really annoys an offense because he's always chirping, right? And that's what you want. You want your guys on defense kind of do that, and he's really the one guy they have that is like that. I mean, everyone else is kind of like mild mannered to get after their business, but Brisker will talk some trash, man. He will get after you. He'll flap. You know, he does that thing he does just to annoy the offense. So we got to see what happens. I mean, hopefully it's not a concussion because, you know, those things can linger. We saw the one they had last year linger for, you know, the entire season. Hopefully it's nothing too bad because they need that guy back out there.
This is also and not that this is secondary on him by any means if he does get back out there, but is this his contract year? I was trying to think off the top of my head. This is his contract. Yeah, I thought so. I thought it was because I thought I was listening to a show or I was reading something where it was talking about that, how this can be a big year for him.
Him and Kyler came in the same draft. Kyler got a big paycheck this last offseason. Obviously, Brisker with all the injuries, they really can't, they can't commit to him that long term. So, yeah, this is a big year for him. I mean, he needs to get back out there and kind of show that whether to the Bears or another team. I mean, if he moves on, he's got to show that, he's definitely going to be the guy that you can count on. And, these little minor injuries, these little things up. I mean, last year was the first year he missed significant time, but the year prior, I think he left 4 or 5 games with something. He ended up playing, I think, 14, 15 games. So he was out there, but just not a good look for him, especially with the history.
And you could correct me if I'm wrong here too. Normally for the training camps too, there was always I always felt like there was a short amount of time that he was out or that he was injured at some point during the training camps that he was in. And I felt like this year was like the first one until yesterday he was fully healthy. Does that sound about right? When I was looking at when I was reading about that, I was like, I think that sounds about right.
I will say this: he had a relatively healthy offseason this year.
Yes.
I don't think I ever recalled the instance where he was missing time in the training room. He was out there pretty much every day until the news broke yesterday about it.
And that's what made me feel so bad about him because I was like, he was literally on track to here for nothing at all to happen. So we'll just see how this one plays out, and hopefully everything's fine with him and get some more information and get ready here for week number 1. The other one I was keeping an eye on too was Kyler Gordon. Kyler Gordon, he was out for the last couple of weeks until yesterday, and then he practiced yesterday. Am I correct on that?
He was back, I think, before the Chiefs game. He kind of practiced, but it was kind of like a ramp-up thing. Yeah, but he's been healthy now for the last couple of weeks. Jaylon Johnson, they anticipate being ready for week 1. I mean, we'll kind of see how that plays out. It's kind of tough asking your number 1 corner to go out there against a guy like Justin Jefferson and kind of, the plan was for him to shadow, right, the top receivers. I don't think you're going to ask him to do that coming off an injury. And then again, the opposite side, is it Nahshon Wright? Is it Tyreek Stevenson? I don't have a lot of faith in either one of those guys. So like I said, I don't think week 1 you'll see too much man-to-man stuff from Dennis Allen. Where he may bracket him over the top against the Vikes.
Adam Thielen now too. Adam Thielen will be on the other side.
Adam Thielen,
Adam Thielen back with the Vikings. I thought that was a great trade for them. I thought that was a really good move for them.
I think they gave up what I saw was the equivalent of a 4th once they kind of factor everything in, which is like, that's fine, dude. I mean, he's a veteran. Again, we talk about JJ McCarthy. He needs those sure-handed guys around him. I mean, look at what Thielen did last year for Bryce Young in Carolina. that's exactly the kind of veteran you need with a young quarterback, and I think it's going to help J.J. McCarthy a lot.
I do too, because I was reading it with the Panthers. One of the Panthers beat writers was saying that trading Thielen or not, this is before he got traded, saying that he was a big help for Bryce. How big of a help he was for Bryce Young. So he's going to be that same type of player as you said for J.J. McCarthy. So we're talking here about the Bears and some of the concerns, some of the roster concerns. Thank you guys for watching tonight. We appreciate all the support here on the Chicago Sports Podcast. We got Lester Fung with us here, and we're talking about some of the different positions. And something else I want to bring up here too is depth issues in some of the key positions. And I have on my list, there's a couple of ones I have question marks. You kind of alluded to it with the secondary and the cornerback position. I have that in running back. So Lester, where do you want to start right there? Running back or secondary?
Let's go secondary. We kind of touched on it a little bit already. Let's
okay, yes, secondary because Jaylon Johnson, I think he's going to play week one. It looks like he's going to play week one, but he hasn't really been out there, and we need him to play week one because as you were talking about with the other with Stevenson, some of the areas that I've seen, some of the way I've seen him play in the preseason. And granted, I'm not taking and saying everything. Preseason. But there were some times in the preseason that I said to myself, I'm like, I don't know if he's going to be the second cornerback. I don't know if he's a number 2 or is he a number 3, because there's some times where he makes some plays you're like, okay, and then there's some other times where I saw him in the preseason and I'm like, I'm not so sure. So I think there, and then we talked about Brisker and his availability and what we have behind him. So I think there could be some question marks depending what we see come out here. And if they say Johnson's able to play, if they say that Brisker's gonna be able to play, I'll feel a little bit better. But going against first game, if we don't have those two guys playing, I'm gonna be a little nervous.
Yeah, I mean, they picked up Jaylon Jones on waivers, obviously former Bear. He was a restricted free agent this offseason. They let him go. He kind of went to the Cardinals. They signed him, didn't make the roster. Bears picked him up. Bears actually wanted 2 teams put a claim in on Jaylon Jones, so the Bears were awarded him. So, I like him. I think he's good depth for you. But I don't want to see him, starting a lot of games. But again, I wasn't really high on what I saw to right. I know the Bears were pretty hyped for him during the camp. He had a good camp, right? He had some good practices out there, but he still doesn't have a lot of experience in the NFL. I mean, Stevenson is more experienced player than Wright is as far as game time in the NFL. So they got to get it figured out. I think Kyler Gordon's a guy that's going to help a lot. I think his ability to kind of do a lot of different things for you and at that slot corner, he may match up with Thielen. He may do something like that. I mean, you may bring him kind of over and, we saw him playing a little safety too. I mean, that's kind of how they lined him up a little bit in training camp, kind of cross training a little bit to kind of have him be that, that mismatch guy to kind of find where your defense needs the most help, and Kyler Gordon kind of fill in there. So, yeah, the secondary's got some problems. It all goes back to Dennis Allen, right? How's Dennis Allen going to scheme this up and protect the guys he needs to protect? Really accentuate the guys that he has. I think Tremaine Edmunds has been a bit of a disappointment as far as a lot of Bears fans believe because of the contract. But that's a pretty good football player, and I think a coach like Allen may put him in a better position to succeed. TJ Edwards, he's done good for the Bears. So there's some pieces there that they have in place. Well, let's see what happens here. What's going to happen week one? How is Dennis Allen going to kind of incorporate all these guys in and kind of get this defense where it needs to be? Because you look what he did in New Orleans. He has had top 10 defenses, in the past. So it may be an edge rusher short, but that's where Allen comes into play.
I'm glad you brought up too about Gordon. I felt like last year when we didn't have Gordon, you could see the big difference that it made in our defense. A big difference about him coming up and stopping the plays that he made when he was in there and when he was out. You could see kind of not the heart and soul, but you could see the impact it had with that defense.
He's just so versatile. I mean, look, you're going to play nickel 70% of the time, so he's up there, he has to play like a linebacker quite a bit too, right? So he has that skill set. Does he have to cover a shifty, slot receiver? He has that skill set. He's a very versatile player. I mentioned how Dennis Allen kind of had him cross-trained at safety. So I kind of look at what they had with Tyrann Mathieu in New Orleans, kind of the guy that can kind of play all over the defense. Look, I'm not going to say he's in that same category because, we're talking about a definite Pro Bowl player in the Honey Badger. But, this is a guy that kind of has that similar versatile skill set. So, we heard Dennis Allen talk about him early on when he took the job, how it's one of his key guys on his defense. The Bears paid him a ton of money. He's the top paid nickel in the NFL right now. So they're expecting a lot out of Kyler Gordon. I think he's going to have his best year yet.
I do too. I do too. That's why I'm so excited to see him play in this defense. I'm glad you brought up Tyrann Mathieu from the Saints last year too. I think just retired. Did he just retire? I think he just retired this year.
I think he did. Yeah.
I think he just did a couple of weeks ago. But I love the way how he schemed him, how he played in his defense. So we talk a little bit about the secondary, and I'm going to bring up the running back position next because we got DeAndre Swift and everybody else right now. It seems like that way. To me, it seems like that. We got DeAndre Swift and everybody else. Here's what I think with the running back position, Lester, and I can't wait to hear what you think as well. I thought going into this year, I wanted to see what Roschon can do. I want to see what he can do with Ben Johnson's offense. So I was excited that he was coming back. But I also looked into this draft this year. There were so many running backs in this draft, and more that I was excited about than in years past. And when we were done and we got Monangai in the 7th round, and we'll see how that one pans out too. But I thought to myself, I was like, did we miss an opportunity here to get one of these young backs, whether it was in the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th round? I don't know the answer to that question. We're going to see how it plays out this year or the next couple of years with some of the backs, the way they went. Because I'll be honest with you, when we look at the backs that are out there right now, at this point, there's nothing that excites me. There's a lot of players out there right now that are looking for work that can maybe plug and play for a while, and it could work for maybe a game or two. But at this point, this is what you got. This is what you got, unless you're going to go out there and see if a team, unless a team makes that unless that team out there makes a release that you weren't expecting. And that's where I think I'm a little bit nervous on, especially with the injuries behind us and then just DeAndre Swift. So what is your opinion in the running back room, or is there anything that you think that we missed?
Yeah, I'm like you. I thought they're going to target a tailback early in the draft. I think they may have got sniped a couple times. I mean, there was some talk. I think the Patriots may have took their guy a couple picks early before them. There may have been a guy in the 3rd round that maybe they kind of lost out on. So it was one of those things where the board just didn't fall right for them. And then as they kind of went through the whole process, just kept, either missing out on their guys. They didn't want to reach for a certain guy they had on their board, maybe. So they kind of let the board come to them. And, I like Kyle Monangai. I think he's a pretty good football player. Again, but he's a 7th round rookie. How much are you counting on him? Roschon Johnson, I think he's had some flashes. I think he hasn't really done what a lot of Bears fans wanted him to be. But you look at what Ben Johnson did in Detroit his first year there with Jamal Williams, who kind of had a similar body type, a similar running style that Johnson has. And he had 1,200 yards, 15, 16 touchdowns that first year Ben Johnson was calling plays there. So Ben Johnson has had some success with some lesser tailbacks, some less talented tailbacks. So I think he'll be fine. And then you look at what he did with Swift that first year. The first few games before, he got hurt, because Swift got hurt that year with Ben Johnson. He knows how to work him. He knows what he can do. I was a little surprised that he ran him up the middle so many times in his last preseason game. I think that's kind of one of those things where it's like, look, if you're going to be our lead tailback, you got to pick up these tough yards. And I think he picked up 3 first downs on third and short. Decisive, right? He ran tough. He didn't get a ton of yards, but he got what he needed to get. So I think he'll be fine with DeAndre Swift. And then whoever kind of fills in behind him. Right now, it's like I said, it's Monangai and Rojo. They're okay. Britton Brown's on the practice squad, who, he's just a guy, but, they didn't pick up a guy off waivers. I think they were content. And I think with Ben Johnson, he realizes we upgraded the O-line. That's going to help the running game there. I'm going to roll with my guy Swift and just kind of see what happens.
How about DJ Moore? And when you see the DJ Moore going into the backfield, how much, with all this being said, in like DJ Moore going into certain plays, how often do you think that's going to happen during the season?
We saw it last year. Maybe a dozen times last year.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot.
But last year was kind of like one of those things where it's like, oh, that's kind of neat. But this year, he's been doing it all training camp. Like, he's been getting reps in training camp. It's something that fans have seen, when they're out there watching at House Hall. So I think that's something that they just want to do it, because, look, he's good with the ball in his hands. He has really good run after the catchability. I think they've realized this is a way we can kind of get him some touches without having to, throw the ball to him. Luther Burden's another guy. I mean, we haven't seen him in the backfield so far in Chicago, but he did that at Missouri. He has that run after the catchability there too. So maybe they put DJ Moore in the backfield and they put Luther Burden out there and they kind of do some screens to him. So there's some weapons here for Caleb to kind of work with. And whether the running game has got your top guy, lead guy, who I think is probably going to be Swift, but they'll kind of have a committee, right? Whether it's Monangai, DJ Morgan, a handful of touches, maybe Rojo is able to kind of step in and kick some tough yards up the middle. But I'm not really worried about the run game, mostly because of Ben Johnson. His scheme is so sound. He knows how to design a run game. He knows how to marry the run game and the play action pass. He understands how to make things look, similar. So I think it's going to be one of those things where what we see this year is going to be really Ben Johnson's game plan. It's his scheme. It's what he wants to do. And then I think next year, whether it's in a draft, maybe free agency, I think next year we kind of see them go out and really target running back as one of the guys one of the positions they want to really upgrade.
I do too. I believe that too. I'm glad you brought up Burden for that too, because I love that guy's speed, man. And then if you go watch some of the videos at Missouri, man, at Mizzou, and you see some of those quick passes that he has, and he gets that space and he has that speed. That's when I'm excited for him in this Ben Johnson offense. To your point, where you said about the running back position and how it can be utilized, because I really love that point where he can be able to do something like that and show that speed.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be fun. I mean, like I said, that's when you look at the draft, right? That's like a Ben Johnson pick. You take a look at that right there. Yeah, that's a guy that kind of comes in, gives Ben Johnson some versatility. He did a lot of stuff out of the slot at Missouri, which is kind of where he fits in Chicago, because you got Rome and you got DJ as your obvious, 1A and 1B, receivers. But with Birdman, ton of talent, great with the ball in his hands, and as we saw in preseason, he'll block. He's not afraid to get out there and get dirty in the run game. So I think it's going to be fun to kind of see how Ben Johnson incorporates all these guys into the mix.
I know, I'm excited for that too. And D Nice, who's always part of our shows here. D, it's good to see you, man. What's going on,
man?
Dude?
Hey, listen, sorry I'm late, man. Work obligations held me too long, man.
How dare you make a living?
Hey, man, listen, what a job. What a job. But anyway, nice to meet you, Lester.
How you doing, man?
Good, man. Matt, how you doing? You all right?
Dude, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great here, man. We got about 10, 15 minutes left here with Lester on the Chicago Sports Podcast. So D Nice, I'm going to bring it up to you too. We're talking about some of the depth issues. We're talking about the running back position right now. When you look at overall too on the running back position, I said pretty much D Swift and everybody else is we probably maybe should have done a little bit more in the offseason or drafted another running back. I know we've talked a little bit about this on our shows, but as you look at the depth issues on our team right now, running back position, how do you assess that, man?
As you know, man, I've been very critical about this position. This is my favorite position on the football field, even though the NFL doesn't seem to think it's worth anything like it used to be. But I was very critical, and but at number one, I was hopeful that the Bears are able to draft Ashton Genty. And then I hear people saying, "Oh, the Bears are not ready for that type of draft pick yet." Whatever. But you draft a tight end at 10, anyway. I was hoping, because the Bears did what they did in the draft, drafted Monangai, which was cool. I was hoping that they were in play for someone that had the possibility of getting cut, a la Brian Robinson Jr. or Breece Hall, someone of that ilk. I heard Martinez, the Miami running back, is available. I don't know if he's been picked up yet, but someone like that, some Estime, who was picked up by the Eagles practice squad or whatever. Someone that's a physical runner that can get those tough yards, and the Bears did not do any of that. They're hanging on to the guys that they drafted, which was Roshan Johnson. They're still hanging on to Travis Homer for what? I don't know. And, I'm very disappointed how the Bears have handled this situation, because they didn't have to be bare at this position. No pun intended.
Oh, I see where you're going there. I see where you're going there, D Nice.
Yeah, they didn't have to be bare at this position, man. It was guys out there for the taking. Didn't have to put any trade assets up to get these guys, but someone to pick up, because you want to have different types of backs. And, maybe the heavy back is kind of phased out, but you want someone like in those 4-minute offensive situations. You want somebody that can get those tough yards and continue to get those first downs to burn clock in the fourth quarter when these defenders don't want to tackle. You know what I mean? And I'm just disappointed about the way the Bears handled that. Now maybe they know something that I don't. Well, of course they do. And we'll see Monday night what their philosophy is when it comes down to this. And maybe they pick somebody up sometime next week. Who knows? But as of right now, I don't like the way they're handling it.
As we talk about the depth issues, before I move on here, anything else that I miss here, Lester? I'll start with you. Is there another depth area on this team, another position that you think we don't have enough depth in? Something that I missed?
No, I mean, I think we kind of nailed it. I mean, the secondary, the running back spot. I mean, those are obviously really, really problematic right now. But again, it's going to come down to the coaching. I mean, are the coaching staff's going to be able to scheme around what they got there? The O-line has been upgraded. We talked a little bit about left tackle, but at this point, you're not finding the guy off the street kind of come and help you there. So you have to deal with Braxton Jones, kind of hope one of the other guys kind of steps up. But yeah, you mentioned at running back, you mentioned Martinez. He did go back to Seattle on the practice squad. I saw Audric Estime. He got picked up on someone's practice squad. So all those running backs that were cut at cut down day, no one got claimed. They all kind of floating around there. So there's guys, if the Bears get into it and they realize, man, we need some help. But I think they're content. I don't think they expect Roshan's injury to be long term. Cal Monunga, I don't think they expect to be long term. They kind of alluded to it that they're okay where they're at with those positions. Homer went on IR. Look, he is who he is. He's your RB4 special teams guy. That's why he's on this roster. He's very good on special teams. Hightower loves him. That's kind of why they brought him back. They re-signed him for that. They never expect him to kind of be a guy that kind of gets carries or any touches out of the backfield. But is Rojo enough? Is Monunga enough? I mean, I don't think you can go into the game with Swift as getting 80% of those reps back there. You got to have a guy to kind of mix it up. Right. And to your point, D-Nice, as a defense, you do not like facing different styles as a runner, as a running back, as a linebacker. The quick guy comes at you, you have this aim point, but now here comes the big, burly guy. It's a different aim point. So you want to kind of throw it up, mix it up, different styles. And right now, again, it's up to Rojo, it's up to Monunga. Can they be that bruising guy that complements Swift's quickness?
Now, Lester, I know I'm late and I may have missed this, but do you feel like that there's any chance that Darnell Wright ends up playing left tackle? Not this year, but maybe in the future, let's say next year. Do you think he's our starting? Because I've been on record to saying that right now our future left tackle is playing on Saturdays.
I think it's a possibility. We'll kind of have to see how the draft plays out, but I think the way the roster's constructed now, Ozzie had a hard time making that transition, right? Some guys can't do it, right? Some guys can flip sides. Some guys just can't not do it. No matter how much work they get, it's a hard time for those guys to do it. So maybe Ozzie is going to always be a right tackle guy. And if that's the case, to me, that's a bad draft pick, because you already have Darnell Wright there. Yeah. But Darnell Wright, we've seen him. He is a pretty good athlete. We've seen him this training camp, making those catches, those one-handed catches, right? So, he's a good athlete, good athlete. He hasn't done it. So, but maybe he has some cross training. We have heard them talk about him in the past, other regimes as well. Yeah. Able to play it on that side. They wouldn't keep saying it unless they've seen him do it. It may not be something that the beat has seen there, but maybe they do it in the Walter Payton Center behind prying eyes. Maybe they see his footwork and okay, if it ever came down to it, maybe we're comfortable doing it. So if the draft plays out good for them, then they draft their starting left tackle next year. Right, sticks in the right side. But if the draft doesn't fall the right way, I think maybe Darnell Wright's your future left tackle, and Ozzie Trapillo is your future right tackle.
Right tackle, yeah.
That's a good question. We didn't talk about that, Lester. I didn't even think about that because I was thinking we've talked about that on our shows about that possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I've also said that Wright is better to me at right tackle, and that's where he should be. But if he has versatility, believe me, the Bears are gonna figure out a way to get him. Get it started so we can all see it. But I hope it doesn't come to that. Before the year crunk up, I was kind of hopeful that Braxton got it together or whatnot. But I've said that I was done talking any kind of way about Braxton Jones. I understand that he is what he is, and however it goes down, my lips are sealed when it comes down to Braxton Jones, either good or bad. I'm just gonna let the year play out, and
Hey,
however, hopefully he stays healthy.
Yeah.
But
that's
his
exactly what I
performance,
said, man.
I
I'm
mean,
done.
with Jones, that's the key with Jones, man. I mean, if he's healthy, he's okay. I mean,
Yeah,
he's not making any Pro Bowls, right? But
yeah,
he's an okay left tackle.
yeah.
Similar to what Charles Leno was back in the day, he was an okay left tackle. And if he's your weak link and you know it as a coaching staff, you can kind of work around that. But my concern is if he's not all the way back from an injury. I mean, we kind of
Yeah.
saw him really slow a foot as it was in
Mhm.
preseason. He struggled kind of getting back to the inside. If he's not able to push off on that bad leg. So
Yeah.
it may be something where we don't see the best of Braxton Jones, where he doesn't really get back to where he was until, maybe the bye week, maybe mid-season. And then you just hope there's not a setback, right? We hope he doesn't get hurt because look, I don't trust Beneday to come in. The Bears don't trust Ozzie to flip over because now he's been working mostly on the right side.
Right.
I'm not sure about Amagaji. It sounds like they want him more in kind of cross training inside the guard now a little bit. So, man, it's just the not the best roster construction, how things kind of fell for the Bears this offseason at left tackle, all because Jones didn't make that step they hoped as far as his rehab went.
Yeah.
Right. And I think getting a guy like Cam, you already got Cam Robinson on this team. I don't think it's necessary for you to go out there and grab Cam Robinson. Now, that's just my opinion. I feel like we already have a Cam Robinson playing with us already. We don't need another one. And I single him out because that's the name I've been hearing. So
yeah, Cam Robinson, who just went to, why am I drawing a blank?
So he did go somewhere else.
Remember where?
Yeah, I'm not sure we got picked up. I know he's been free agent. He's the one guy Bears fans all kind of talk to about.
That's what we're talking about. He just, I have to take a look.
Oh, he might have signed away. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey guys, before we wrap up here, and thank you guys for watching the Chicago Sports Podcast here, Monsters at the Madhouse. We got Lester Wiltfong with us from Windy City Gridiron. Thanks for his time tonight. Before we wrap up here, I'm going to ask, because the big news today was the trade for Micah Parsons. We talked about at the beginning of the show, D-Nice, about the draft, about trade, and what we got for him. So with that being said, I want to wrap up the show with the Packers. Do you think, and Lester and I, we kind of talked about this. Lester, I'll start with you, man. We talked about this, how this could put them over the edge. Do you think they are now a 10-12 win team, or what do you think that record is going to be now for the Packers?
Yeah, I mean, I think they should push. I mean, what did they have last year? 11. So I think that's definitely something they can be in the mix there. Again, is Jordan Love going to be able to kind of lead this franchise where they want to take him? He has some issues in his game, right? I mean, we kind of see it. They kind of clean things up. I think they have an outstanding, head coach in LaFleur. I think he's going to get the best out of his offense no matter what. And a guy like Parsons coming in, I think they were always in that mix to kind of push the Lions. But now with Parsons, I think they're right there even more. I think I would not be surprised to see them win the North. I still think it's probably the Lions is still the class of that division, but the Lions have issues too, man. They're breaking in two new coordinators. It doesn't always work out. I mean, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's a different style. They all are saying the right things over there in Detroit, how they're excited for the change. But, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn are pretty good play callers. So we'll kind of have to see how they kind of shake things up out there.
Yeah.
What about you, D-Nice? What do you think?
Well, one thing for sure, adding a guy like Michael Parsons don't make you don't get worse adding a guy like that. That's first thing first. Number two, like Lester mentioned, can Jordan Love stay healthy enough to lead this team to where he has to go? Now, as far as his ability, he's been pretty solid. Green Bay, as much as we hate them, we have to respect the fact that they have a pretty stable situation up there, man. From coaching, front office, it seems like they do things the right way up there. As much as all the FGB stuff goes on, you have to respect it. You have to give respect where it's due. Quay Walker, Lucas Van Ness, Rashawn Gary, they got a crew, man. And it's all going. They got a running back. They have receiver by committee. All those guys can play. It's all on Jordan Love. Jordan Love has zero excuses. And he's a 6-year vet. This will be year 7 for him, I believe. And listen, if he stays healthy enough, I think he can play well enough to get them where they're trying to go. As much as it pains me to admit. But the Michael Parsons news hit me like a ton of bricks. And
You gotta process that.
it did, man. It really hurt me, man.
It's
Not
all
that
of us.
Dallas traded him, but he ended up going to the Packers, man. Like, of all teams. Like, y'all didn't have the wherewithal to send this guy to the ALC. Didn't nobody in the ALC need him? So I'm down, man. I'm down in the dumps about that. But we still have to play the games. I'm still optimistic about the Bears, and I think we can compete regardless of who's over there. So I still don't like it. I still don't like Michael Parsons in green and gold.
I think that gives us an excuse to go out this weekend and have a few drinks. So we can
Oh yeah,
I'm making excuses that we can go do that.
Drowning Sorrows, man, starts tomorrow.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching Chicago Sports Podcast. Lester, man, it was an honor to have you on with us tonight, man.
It's been a while, man. I appreciate it.
On,
I appreciate coming on.
Yeah.
I got a little surprise here for you.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. We're scum. We suck.
That's wild. I appreciate it. No, it's always
funny.
fun.
I just saw Alice Cooper 2 weeks ago here too, so that's a funny part. As I was watching that, I was like, man, but Lester, how can we follow you, man?
Yeah, you follow me on my socials at WiltfongJR. Everything I write is at Windy City Gridiron, and all my podcast and video stuff is at Second City Gridiron.
Awesome, man. Awesome. It was an honor to have you along with us. D Nice, man. Always good to see you, man. Always good to see you.
Man, sorry I'm so late, man. I'm sorry I'm so late.
Damn job, man.
Lester and Matt, I sincerely apologize, man, to both of you guys. But I had to come in. I had to come in and say what's up to you guys and give my opinion on the news of the day.
Well, we appreciate your time coming in here as always, D Nice. So for Lester, for D Nice, I'm Matt Cooper. Thank you guys all so much. Keep up to date. By the way, D Nice did an awesome show the other day where he had Doug Plank on too, man. So if you didn't get a chance to watch it, it's great. Go check that out. Yeah. Chicago Sports Podcast on YouTube. You can check out all of our shows. Like and subscribe and keep up to date with everything going on with the Bears. For Lester, D Nice, I'm Matt Cooper.